Commanders didn't make the playoffs in Quinn's first 3 years, you think he's gone?
Yeah.
3 years?
You got 3 years.
Maybe
in this league.
4, but
you don't get
depending on how bad it was.
You don't get to go
Yeah,
over 3.
I think it depends on the optics. Like, is it a bad 0-3 missing the playoffs, or are you just?
I mean, if
missing
they're
the
getting
playoffs?
better, but they're still missing the playoffs, maybe.
If you go 0-3 for playoffs, you don't get a chance to go for the 4th. It's just the reality of life.
It's in the NFL. It's tough.
It's not, whatever. It
right.
be
So
close,
that's why I
but-
want them to be good because I like Quinn.
Right.
And I want them to stay.
Well, that dovetails with the audio. We're going to play audio from the Kevin Sheehan podcast from this weekend where he was joined by one of the Commanders' minority owners, Mark Ein, and he's talking about how Peters really wanted Dan Quinn. That was his guy from the get-go.
We know, a little bit about the Adam Peters process. I mean, he was the number 1 GM candidate on the market. What stuck out in particular to all of you about Dan Quinn?
Culture. He was Adam's first choice from the beginning. He was the person he wanted because he felt paired with him. That was the perfect combination. Adam never wavered from thinking that Dan was the person he wanted. And then, again, I didn't interview him, so I didn't meet him, but just, talking to Josh and the guys while they're doing it, that was the thing from the first interview was just, if you want to transform a culture, there's not going to be no one better than Dan Quinn. If you want to inject energy into an organization, there's no one better than Dan Quinn. And he's proving exactly that to be the case.
Look, I've met Dan Quinn in person once for 5 seconds last night before he walked into the room.
Yeah.
Jason was like my wingman, introed me because they're Salisbury guys. They were chopping it up.
We were talking about the bars we used to hang out with.
Like, when he walked in,
Shelley's Circle Bar.
He definitely has a presence about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a big Ben Johnson nerd, but I'm guessing if Ben Johnson walked into DC Prime and I didn't know who he was, I'd be like, okay, who's that dork?
Ben Johnson looks like a guy who could mop the floor.
Dan Quinn walks in, and it's like he just has there's an aura about it. He knows he is owning. He's owns the room when he walks in, but he's not outward about it. It's just the way he carries himself.
And it doesn't
mean
what
that
Ben Johnson's a bad coach, but I'm telling you, Ben Johnson's vibes are putrid.
Right.
They're not
great
immaculate.
vibes. Yeah.
And
Dan Quinn, immaculate
Yeah,
vibes.
I was going to say, if Ben Johnson was the coach, I don't know if I would feel like he's approachable.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He just seems like very nerdy, quieter, more introverted.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. There are some coaches that maybe are like that. He just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I buy it. I know Drabby and I were arguing. Drabby is basically, I'll let him speak for himself, but essentially Drabby's like, they're just recreating history, trying to pump up their guy.
When Quinn walked in,
I believe
he was behind 10 feet away from me. I saw him over my shoulder, and first time I saw him in person, I was like, well, he's a badass.
Right.
He's like leader of men. You can just tell.
Yes.
Without even talking to him.
Yes.
You can just look at him and be like, that dude knows what he's
Ein
doing.
also didn't say he was everybody's first choice.
Right.
He's saying he was Adam's first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Sounds like he might not even have been Ein's first choice because Ein never interviewed him.
Yeah.
But he's saying he was Adam's first choice. And I
And I
believe
like
that.
what Ein's, I don't know, I'm sure we don't have this audio, but I heard, Kevin asked Ein, were you in on the process of hiring the coaches or whatever? And he's like, no. He's like, and I liked his answer where he's like, that's why we're hiring
That was Adam.
Adam Peters.
Yeah.
Because we know he's great at what he does, and we're going to let him make those decisions. He might have been in the back of the room, but he's not, there trying to steer it one way or another.
Drab, you prepared to call Mark Ein a liar?
I think, they're recreating history. Now,
you're calling him a liar.
Sometimes you call me a Commanders hater. I love Dan Quinn. I said from the very get-go, that's the guy they should hire.
Okay.
Now, look, he was with the Seahawks, so
right.
He's a favorite of mine, but I just know that he's a great leader.
Yeah.
But everyone was fawning all over Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Including Adam Peters. They're on the flight. People are tweeting, all signs point to Ben Johnson, done deal, just a matter of time. Dan Quinn embarrassing himself in at TSA line, waiting to get shipped out of town after his 15th interview when they said no. You don't let coaches get away. What happened was Dan Quinn came here. They interviewed him for the 5th time. He flew home. They flew to Detroit, and then Ben Johnson told them no on the plane. They did a U-turn, came back, and hired Dan Quinn.
Because they were leaving every stone unturned.
No,
like every they
no,
wanted,
Ben Johnson gave them
they
two middle
wanted to
fingers.
turn over every stone.
Yeah.
I'm not
Whatever
saying they
cliche
didn't like
is.
Dan Quinn.
Huh?
I'm not saying they didn't like Dan Quinn. I'm saying they had
You're
their
just
eyes
saying
set
he
on
wasn't
Ben
the
They
number one
left
Johnson.
no
choice.
stone
No,
unturned.
that was they were going. They had already interviewed Johnson. So why would they?
It was a
so
quick
hold on.
phoner or something.
So you don't. let
Maybe he
him-
was off-putting.
Listen. His personality stinks. That's not the guy for this program. He may be a great head coach sometime. He's a dud.
Also, you are nobody wanted Dan Quinn. The Commander fans, people in the know, smart people like Jason Bishop
did.
and Drab,
I did.
knew that Dan Quinn was
No,
a good
I
head
think
coach.
if you go to the audio,
You guys,
you'll
everyone
say,
was
no,
angry that
that's
he was
not
going to
true.
be the coach.
I
That's not
wanted
true.
Ben Johnson it for
Everyone wanted Ben
Everyone,
Johnson.
everyone wanted the bright offensive
Yes.
young
That's
mind.
not true. Go to the audio. Go to the audio. Find me saying
I wanted that.
want Ben Johnson.
I wanted that.
Find that. You'll have a hard time finding
I'm
that.
not. The Commanders fan base as a whole was
Okay.
obsessed with Ben
Yeah, a
Johnson.
lot
For
of them
sure, because that's who
Guilty.
the local media suggested was the number one target, and it may have been for Josh Harris. Maybe it was for I don't know, Mitch Rails. Maybe it was for the donk from the Golden State.
Matt Myers. Matt
Myers.
Myers on the mic. Do you believe Mark Ein?
No.
So you believe that Peters wanted Ben Johnson
I-
first,
I believe that there were other people.
or a couple other guys.
There were other people in the organization that were tantalized by the Ben Johnson offensive numbers.
I think that too.
Maybe
but I
Peters
think
wanted
Peters
Johnson
wa-
first, but then
when he met him-
And to
got
be
in-
honest with
in
you,
the
I don't
room
think
with him.
Ben Johnson wanted to come here.
that could
and
be
I
the
think
case
it's a
too.
double whammy. Of course,
Apparently he didn't
I
wanna
agree
go
with you
anywhere.
100%.
Yeah, and then
It's obvious.
And then
because he
the-
stayed in Detroit.
He's comfortable in his Detroit cocoon for
Yeah.
right
But that
now.
doesn't mean that it wasn't Peters' first choice. Still wasn't Dan Quinn. But Peters may have not
They
had
got-
the final call.
They got look. They were trying to be players, and they got rejected by the first girl they asked to
Or
homecoming.
What if Peters?
And
I
they're
don't
fine.
know
And
that
they were
that's the case.
fine. And they were fine taking.
I
her
don't
friend.
think they offered it to Ben
What if
Johnson.
Peters? What if his first choice was Ben Johnson, and then when they met in person, he said, "This guy's a dud. This guy's not the leader that we need. I'm going to pivot." Maybe
That's-
that
Cakes,
happens.
why were they so angry about the getting on the plane and going to see
Because
him?
I
they were
don't know.
planning their whole, like you'd be angry about anything. If you're planning to, you're leaving no stone unturned, you're going to fly out of your way to go meet this jerk.
They
And
should've-
now you're
scoring-
mid-flight,
they
and he
should've
says,
Scoring
sorry.
lovers.
Huh?
Scoring
They
lovers.
should have
No,
been happy
dude.
they didn't have to go to Detroit.
Dude, I get pissed if I wait here for half an hour and a guest doesn't call. I mean, like, you wasted your time.
At the end of the day, the best thing happened. Dan Quinn became the
I
head
know.
coach.
I just want you to acknowledge that Mark. You're calling. Drab T-shirt is calling Mark Ein publicly, who's been on the show, who listens to the show.
Yeah.
I have mutual friends with Mark. You're calling, not me. Drab T-shirt is calling him a
No
liar.
liar.
It's a white lie. It's not a big deal. He's pumping his guy up. This isn't like
I
you know.
disagree. I think it's one. It's just an example where nobody knew. Some people were guessing that Johnson was the guy, and it just wasn't. It just wasn't the guy. He might have been Mitchell Rails' guy.
Remind me how many teams Ben Johnson interviewed with for the head coaching position.
I'm not sure that he interviewed more than one or two. I'm not
I thought
sure.
it was multiple, but
Might
I'd have to go back.
I mean,
and
I think Valdez is right. Ben Johnson ultimately did not want to leave Detroit for here.
Mhm.
If they had offered, I think that's why he took himself out of the
Or
running.
anywhere else.
I
Or
think
else he would have left.
I think that point's correct.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that he blew Adam Peters away.
I
Because
don't-
all
I
I
don't
could do is
believe
watch
that
one
either.
interview with that loser, and I could tell he's got no personality.
Yeah,
Not
I-
a leader of men.
Damn, I should have asked Adam off the record that last night.
Hey,
with
we've
with
been-
Dan Quinn standing right next
Yeah,
to him.
but you know.
What do you think he's
that
going
would
to
have
say?
been funny.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I think
Adam,
also
off the rec.
they had the benefit of knowing. Look, we could also have said to Dan, "Hey, listen, man, we're close here. Just got to let us play this out. If anybody calls you and offers you anything, make sure you get in touch with us first. Don't accept another job.
Mhm.
That's normal. That happens when you interview people.
These guys love each other.
So I believe Eric Bickle believes Mark Ein. Matt Cahill
does not.
is calling him publicly a liar, a white liar, but a liar.
Put it out there.
I'm just at the end of the day, that's what it comes
He's
down to.
recreating history.
I'm
Why is it?
I'm guessing Travis is
It's
going to hit up
recreated.
Mark Ein for the City DC Open tickets.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
actually am. Go to the City Open. I'm going next Friday.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, not anymore.
Who's
Not anymore.
Who's the number one seed? Tiafo?
It could be.
Actually, I don't know.
Yeah. You were
Love
going.
the City Open.
You were
Love
going.
it. Love that event.
You think I'll be on a band?
You were
Do
going.
not admit this man.
Right.
Right there.
It's
at the
it's a
entrance
little
gates.
white lie to pump up Dan Quinn, which is fine.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they got the right guy.
I hope they
I
did
think
too.
they do. I just, it's obviously it's got to come down to the quarterback.
Yeah.
But hopefully they got not just Quinn, but Peters.
Yeah,